Throughout my preteens, I saw Jennette McCurdy slay as Sam Puckett in Nickelodeon's iCarly, and even read a little bit about her in teen-bop magazines. But I never would have guessed what was really going on with her until I read her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died. But before I share exactly what I thought of it, I'm Laura Youngblood, and welcome to the online School of Pop Culture. My content includes video essays on a wide array of topics, all relating to pop culture and media. To see what I mean, you're going to have to check out my content yourself, but I hope it compels you to subscribe to my channel. First, I'm going to discuss what exactly the book's about. McCurdy's memoir is broken up into two parts: before the death of McCurdy's mother and after her death. In the before section, McCurdy chronicles her childhood in a poor Mormon family in Garden Grove, California. One of the main aspects of this is her mother's struggle with breast cancer and how McCurdy dedicated her life to making her mother happy from a young age. This all started when McCurdy was 6 years old and her mother pressured her to start auditioning for background roles. When McCurdy was 11 and she started developing breasts, her mother taught her to start calorie restricting in order to delay further development. It wasn't until McCurdy was 17 years old and she'd been on iCarly that her mother stopped showering her and performing breast and vaginal exams. By August 2013, McCurdy's mother had relapsed into her cancer and succumbed to it. Following her mother's death, McCurdy starred on a short-lived spin-off of iCarly called Sam and Cat. Jealous of how the studio was favoring McCurdy's co-star Ariana Grande, McCurdy and Grande eventually grew to resent one another. While auditioning for more adult projects, McCurdy went through therapy for her eating disorders, during which time she started to question the pedestal on which she put her mother. In the end, McCurdy concludes that between the pressure her mother put on her to continue acting after she lost interest and encouraged her to eat in a disordered way, it's a good thing her mother isn't around anymore to bring that poison into her life. So what did I like about this book? First and foremost, the memoir captures many aspects of McCurdy and her mother's complex relationship. After reading this entire memoir, one can conclude that McCurdy's mom was physically, verbally, and sexually abusive to her. The really scary thing about this, though, is that it's not what typically comes to mind when one thinks of child abuse. McCurdy's mom never beat her or flat out raped her. In fact, there are even scenes throughout the memoir of Deb throwing Jeannette birthday parties, taking her out for ice cream, and seeming at least to take really good care of her. The abuse comes in more subtle forms, like pushing calorie restriction, showering McCurdy until she was 16, and giving breast and vaginal exams that Deb was not qualified to give. I'm Glad My Mom Died's second strength is that it brings a degree of relatability to a former celebrity. We don't always stop to think about it, but celebrities are people just like us. They have homes, jobs, families, health, faith or lack thereof, ups, downs, emotions, and everything else that we normal people have. In I'm Glad My Mom Died, McCurdy really brings those aspects to life by sharing memories of her childhood, adolescence, and adulthood in such up-close and personal detail. Chief among these is the relationship dynamic between McCurdy and her mother, how she connected to her mother during her illness, why she felt the need to give in to what her mom wanted even when that wasn't best for her, the intense grief at the time of Deb's death, and how the way she thought about her mother changed as she went through therapy. The novel's third strength is that it had a strong opening and ending. McCurdy opens her memoir with a powerful scene of her and her family trying to awaken their comatose mother with exciting news. McCurdy's is that she's lost a significant amount of weight, just as her mother wanted her to. When this doesn't work, McCurdy comes to the realization that her mother may not survive this. If her mother is really gone, what is she to live for now? To avoid giving too many spoilers about the ending, I'll just say this. McCurdy's visiting her mother's grave after all that she's been through and thinking about all the adjectives written on the tombstone in light of the new perspective she's been given. The fourth strength of I'm Glad My Mom Died is that it's a good model for aspiring memoir writers. I have many positive things to say about this memoir, many of which I already have. But best of all is McCurdy's writing style. McCurdy writes about each event of her past as though she's experiencing it in real time. She uses present tense and tells the story strictly from her perspective. That's what a good memoir looks and sounds like, and I want to apply the same skills in my own writing. So what are some of the downsides of this memoir? Well, the first of the two negative things I have to say about this memoir is that its dark details may ruin your childhood. Throughout this memoir, you'll learn how McCurdy was forced into an acting career when she never really wanted one, had a terrible time working on iCarly, and all this affected her negatively for many years to come. It may be hard to watch iCarly or any Nickelodeon show again, let alone watch it the same, knowing what kinds of dark, disturbing stuff was happening behind the scenes. Also, a more general note is that the eating disorder, binging and purging, and breast and vaginal exams are described in quite graphic detail. They make for good storytelling, but to anyone who's squeamish about that stuff, be forewarned. The only other negative thing I have to say about this book is that it could be seen as an example of unhealthy grieving. Everyone grieves differently, and in the case of something like you read in this book, it's understandable why McCurdy would feel she's better off without her mother. However, one might argue that being glad that a person died isn't a very healthy way to grieve a death or cope with that situation, and that this book encourages such a thing. If nothing else, it's important to keep in mind that this memoir represents one person's loss of a parent and one person's only. I'm Glad My Mom Died is not meant to be a manual for grieving the death of a parent. It's meant to chronicle McCurdy's complex relationship with her mother, how it's changed, and how it's affected her. Knowing that is crucial to reading this book and taking it all in. Out of 5 stars, I give I'm Glad My Mom Died 5 stars. The book had more strengths than weaknesses, was well written, chronicles the timeline of a fraught mother-daughter relationship with relatable, realistic details through first-person narration, and doesn't sugarcoat the dark side of child acting it was meant to shed light on. I was a little afraid to read it at first for fear that it would ruin my childhood, but after having read it, I can honestly say I have no regrets. I loved learning about McCurdy's background and what was going on behind the scenes that some of us would have had no idea about. Have you read I'm Glad My Mom Died? If not, I hope my review has you wanting to read this really good read. If you have, do you agree with my review? Let me know in the comments why or why not. While you wait for more content on all things media, assuming you've already done what you should and clicked subscribe, check out this video I've made breaking down what is and isn't young adult literature, as well as my most recent video to date. Hope this video will have you coming back for more.